Peace and blessings, everyone. This is the Lonely Satellite with your host, Beat After Beat. Hope everyone, hope everyone can hear me just fine. We are live here in the Motor City. It is always 43 degrees and cloudy. The Lonely Satellite. When you're feeling love's unfair, when you're lost in deep despair, when you're down in deep despair, you just ask the lonely right here on the Lonely Satellite. Much love to the fullest. Thank you for showing up. Please make yourself comfortable. We're going to go into a part two of solitude this week. That's right, solitude. Probably your best friend right about now, here in these days. Go check out the chat real quick. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you. This is Beat After Beat. Lonely Satellite, 8 p.m. Sunday night. Thank you all for showing up. Tonight we're going into part two of the topic solitude. And I have my notes ready, and I got my reading glasses set up. And good to see you, Adrian, Tails. Sound going in and out for me. Should be fine. Hope everyone can hear me okay. And the track in the bottom, or in the back, the background. Hope everyone can hear me okay. All seems to be good here. Couple invites in the chat. This is a panel participation requirement. You need to come up here on the panel, and we'll discuss the issues of loneliness and such every weekend. Of course, I mentioned we're going to do a part two of solitude tonight. Hopefully, everyone caught the show last weekend. We started with solitude part one. This is solitude part two coming up. So y'all make yourself comfortable, keep warm, and we'll get into the meat and potatoes of the show. Got my reading glasses on. Background sound seems to be okay. Oh, okay. Thank you, Adrian. All right, Solitude Part 2. Overcoming the Fear of Solitude. 10 Thoughts. Some prefer a mild electric shock to solitude. Gratitude may be the answer. Has the fear of solitude kept you from hearing the sound of your own inner voice? Silence and solitude. It seems come too close to being alone. Hello, Tails.
Hello, and how are you today?
Good, my friend. How are you?
Not too bad, thank you.
All right. You're looking sharp tonight.
Yeah, it's I put a bit of eyeliner on there, and
Little
hey, Boo.
Hey, Boo. How are you, my dear? Well, good to see you, Tails and Adrian and Boo Henry Fine. Thank you for asking. Hope you are doing well yourself. All right. Well, thanks for stopping in. So we're starting to get into the meat and potatoes of the show, part 2 of Solitude, here on Lonely Satellite, Sunday nights, 8 p.m. Good to see you, Boo. So we're going to get into meat and potatoes. So make yourself comfortable, Boo, and everyone in the chat. Tails. Overcoming the fear of solitude. 10 thoughts. Some prefer a mild electric shock to solitude. Gratitude may be the answer. Has the fear of solitude kept you from hearing the sound of your own inner voice? Silence and solitude. It seems come too close to being alone and lonely. Explored in the writings of psychiatrist and psychological psychoanalyst. I can't even pronounce it. Dr. Carl Jung. We have been reading about solitude recently in interviews given by Jack Fong, PhD, a socialist at California State um, Polytechnic University. Dr. Fong encourages people to explore their solitude, and his views have appeared recently in Virtues of Isolation. Some people are so adverse to solitude, time spent just relaxing or thinking, that in one experiment reported there were participants who opt to give themselves a mild electric shock rather than be deprived of external sensory. Scientific American magazine says people prefer electric shock to tedium, Tedium. For
What's
science,
tedium?
I'm not sure what tedium is. It's people prefer electric shock to tedium.
Well, it's
I'm
a
not.
lot worse than electric shock. Who the hell wants to be electric shocked? What, you only got a choice here?
Well, that according to Scientific American magazine, um, it was based on a study from Timothy D. Wilson, PhD, a social psychologist at the University of Virginia. For Science, Wilson reported on a series of studies which noted that participants preferred mundane, mundane, external activities to being alone in a room for 6 to 15 minutes with nothing to do but think. College student participants were asked to spend time by themselves with no cell phone and no writing implements. They were asked to sit in a chair, to stay awake, and to spend the time entertaining themselves with their thoughts. Researchers asked participants to rate how much they enjoyed being in a room with nothing to do. Of 409 participants, nearly half said that they do not like the experience. When asked to do the same at home for 6 to 15 minutes, a third said that they had cheated. Researchers found made that what made thinking difficult was the participants' focus on their own shortcomings. Thank you for showing up, Rowan. Much love to you. Without training in techniques such as meditation, it seems that it is difficult to steer our thoughts in pleasant directions and keep them there. As such, people prefer doing to thinking. As as such, people prefer doing to thinking. I was reminded of a story in Morton Kessler's work, The Other Side of Silence: Meditation for the 21st Century. A priest and therapist, he tells of a minister on the verge of a nervous breakdown who went to Dr. Jung for help. The prescription given to him was this: work just 8 hours a day and sleep. That was the prescription. Instead, the minister read books, listened to music, and remained frazzled. Dr. Jung is said to have admonished, but you didn't understand. I don't want you with Hermann Hesse or Thomas Mann or even Mozart. I wanted you alone with yourself. Also discussed in A Serenity Journal, 52 Weeks of Prayer and Gratitude, Watson 2000. Overcoming the fear of solitude and silence. Many of us are afraid of solitude and silence because it is during those moments that we so often meet the side of our personality that we wish we could bury or shadow side. What often happens with our shadow side is we transfer a perceived personal inferiority in ourselves onto someone else and view it as the other person's moral deficiency. Most often, we dislike the person who can be a reflection of an unpleasant aspect of our own personality. Here are 10 thoughts exercises that include facing your shadow side and overcoming the fear of solitude by embracing moments alone with gratitude. It would be helpful if you used a good notebook as a start. Doing so might give you a basis for later thinking about issues, problems, and solutions in solitude without using writing tools. Number one, in a good notebook, list your positive qualities. Number two, next, make a list of your flaws. Be truthful. No one else needs to see this. Number three, ask your best friend, if you really do possess these positive qualities. Number four, would you dare to ask someone to tell you what he or she sees as flaws? Number five, review the two lists side by side and think of how you might turn around a flaw to eventually become a part of the positive qualities list. Number six, express gratitude for yourself for your positive qualities. Number seven, next, express gratitude that you are able to admit to your negative traits which you have the opportunity to change. Number 8, be grateful for the situations that you find challenging or even distressful. Oftentimes, good can come from such situations. As the phoenix in Greek mythology, rising from the ashes. Number 9, be grateful for your surroundings, and if they are not pleasing to you, think of how you might improve them. Number 10, use silence to think about challenges challenges you are facing and begin to think about visualize solutions. These 10 thoughts require thinking and reflecting. Some of these you can do while out walking. If you unplug your earphones or turn off music, use solitude and silence as a way to tune into your positive self and be grateful. It is not a new or it is not a new or unique theory. Those who practice mindfulness and or meditation have an advantage in the world of solitude because in silence they can thrive and achieve a certain peace of mind. Overcoming the fear of solitude, 10 thoughts. Let's stop in the chat real quick. Margie, good to see you. Thank you for showing up, Roland. And it looks like I lost Tails. That's okay. Moving right along. 4 people in the house. 18 minutes in the show. Solitude Part 2. And Tails has left the building. Invites are in the chat. Maybe Tails lost connection or something. Solitude, the benefits it brings, and the special strengths of the people who enjoy it. Unlike the readers of my last post who were so articulate and insightful about the sweetness of solitude, many professional researchers have had a much harder time recognizing that solitude can actually be beneficial. Maybe part of the reason is the psychological is that psychologists, especially social psychologists, are so attuned to humans as social animals who need and crave connection with other people. In fact, the title of a journal article that has attracted much attention over the years is The Need to Belong. I don't dispute the social needs of humans, I just don't see them as incompatible with an appreciation for solitude. To get a sense of psychologists struggling with the notion that time alone can actually be a good thing, consider these 2 examples of titles of journal articles: When the, when the Need to Belong Goes Wrong, and Finding Pleasure in Solitary Activities, Desire for Aloneness, and Disinterest in Social Contact. Titles such as these seem to suggest that if you spend time alone, there must be something wrong with you. Maybe your need to be maybe your need to belong has gone wrong. Maybe you don't really want to be alone. you are just anxious and avoiding other people. But that's not what the studies show. Some people really do want their time alone and regard it as something positive and constructive. They are not skittish, fleeing, scary humans. And we got Tails back up and running. Welcome back, sir.
Thank you, buddy.
Moving on, in a study of 5th through ninth graders, Reed Larson found that over time, the older children choose to spend more time alone. What's more, their emotional experience was improved after they had spent time on their own. Those adolescents who spent an intermittent, intermittent those adolescents who spent a long time, a lot of time alone, not too much, not too little, seem to be doing the best psychology. The psychologists who really do get it about the sweetness of solitude are the ones I mentioned in my last post. Christopher Long and James Adborough, the title of their key article is Solitude, an exploration of the benefits of being alone. No apology, no befuddlement that humans might actually benefit from their time alone. Here's how they characterize solitude. The paradigm experience of solitude is a state characterized by disengagement from the immediate demands of other people, a state of reduced social inhibition and increased freedom to select one's mental and physical activities. Many readers made similar observations in the comments they posted to Part 1, which we discussed last week, Part 1 of Solitude. Although there can be benefits to spending time with others, there can also be rewards to disengagement from the immediate demands of other people. There's a research again by Larson in which people are beeped at random times during the day and asked about their experiences. Unsurprisingly, people report feeling less self conscious when they are alone than when they are with others. Other than the welcome emotional respite, what's so good about feeling less self conscious? Long and Adbro think that it is good for creativity. They note findings from other research showing that adolescents who can't deal with being alone are less likely to develop their creativity abilities. The theme that resonates most with me is the argument that other people can be distracting and taxing. I'm not talking specifically about being with people who are annoying and demanding. Instead, the idea is that just having other people around, even wonderful other people, can sap some of your cognitive and cognitive and emotional resources. You might even, at some very low level, use up some of your psychological energy wondering about their needs and concerns or considering the impression you may be making of them, even if you are not insecure about that, or maybe even just sensing their presence when you are sharing the same space and not even conversing. There is a freedom that comes with solitude, and it is both a freedom from constraints and a positive freedom to do what you want and let your thoughts wander. Here's another quote from Long and Avril um, that I especially appreciate as it showcases their perspective that spending time alone and getting something out of it can be a strength rather than a cause for concern. The positive, freedom to engage in a particular activity requires more than simply a freedom from constraint or interference. It also requires the resources or capacity to use solitude constructively. Antarctic researchers who have chosen a pursuit that requires spending a lot of time alone score especially high on a scale measuring absorbance. The scale assesses enjoyment of experiences such as watching clouds in the sky and becoming particularly absorbed in a movie you are watching. In solitude, Juan and Avril, these doctors, suggest we sometimes think about ourselves and our priorities in new ways, or think our thinking about other matters too may be more likely to be transformed into during times of solitude. The particular intersection of solitude and single life, like so many aspects of solitude, has yet to be studied in any detail. My guess is that people are who are single, especially if they are single at heart, like their solitude more than people who crave coupling together. I'll end with one more quote from Juan. They were not discussing single people when they said it, but it strikes me as relevant. Cognitive transformation can be threatening rather than liberating. At the very least, in order to benefit from solitude, the individual must be able to draw on inner resources to find meaning in a situation in which external supports are lacking. Kind of difficult one there for you guys. That was solitude, the benefits it brings, and the special strengths of the people who enjoy it. The benefits of solitude. Why being alone, even for a social animal, can be beneficial. Three people in the house, Sunday night with the Lonely Satellite, 20 minutes into the show. I'm going to stop in and check out the chat. We'll take a little break here and we'll do the benefits of solitude. How you hanging there, Tails? You all right?
I'm doing pretty good, buddy.
And kind of
How about
struggling,
yourself?
kind of nervous, but I'm doing it.
You're doing it. Yes, you are, buddy. You're doing a grand job, as they would say one day. Grand old job.
We're gonna take a little break here because it's not every day I talk to you guys, so it's like okay, it's Sunday, it's 8 o'clock, it's time to talk to everybody in the chat and everybody on the panel. It's like I'm not used to talking to you guys once a week only. So just to let you know, I need to talk to you guys every day, so I feel more confident, more comfortable about what I'm talking about, what I'm doing, if you understand.
Yeah.
Um, but we're going to do the benefits of solitude. I wanted to go in and catch up with the chat before my career ends tonight. And if I don't catch up to the chat, there goes my career. You sound great. I believe Rowan showed up. Thank you for showing up, Rowan. Hope the background music is just fine. Good to see you, Rowan.
Oh, what's that fucking dog up to now? Get the shotgun.
Oh my. I think you need some solitude there, buddy.
I think the dog does. Oh, it's only a 3-month-old pup, but it's a big 3-month-old pup. And I could do without a dog. I don't want a dog. I'm too old to have a dog. I'm too sick to have a dog. I don't need one.
Simpler living will always lead to long-term happiness. Yet, city life will kill you real fast. City life will kill you. That's for sure. Anybody will tell you the city will kill you fast. Just catching up to the chat, taking a little break. Thank y'all for showing up on this Sunday night. Rowan, solitude doesn't have to represent loneliness. It can also be an opportunity to find oneself and be at peace. You are absolutely right, Rowan. That's what we're discussing here tonight, actually. Yeah, music is my friend. Yes, music is great. Catalyst to peace and happiness. Tails got sucked up. Okay, what happened when I was reading to you guys? What's going on here? Tails got sucked up. Beam me up, Scotty. I feel that happiness begins with liking oneself. Yeah, if you don't love yourself, how can you possibly love anyone else around you? It all starts with you first. Being alone, getting to know yourself. Great discussion.
I did that when I was younger,
What's that?
being alone and getting to know myself.
Well, yeah, it's really important. You need to know the platform you stand in life, the stage you're on. You need to know who you are, what you're standing on. You need a foundation. Otherwise, you're just a broke person. You need a solid foundation of who you are and how you walk on this planet. Background good. When I'm doing these shows, I put myself on a platform. I'm on stage. I put myself on stage. Okay, on beat after beat. So I focus on who I am. I put myself on a platform, and I perform. I do my job. That's how I do this. Put myself on a platform. And I wish I could talk to you guys every single day because
Well, you
talk,
can, buddy.
talking to you guys once a week is like I don't know where you're at. How did your week go? I don't know where you guys are at, and you know what I'm saying. You don't know where I'm at. Um, we all come together once a week, and so um, it kind of makes it hard for me to find out really what you guys are thinking about, and um,
Yeah, I had a cat for 18 years. Passed away a couple of months ago.
sorry to hear that. Yeah, I think you brought that up last time.
Yeah.
So we're gonna go ahead and continue, I guess. Only 35 minutes into the show. My God,
Time's flying.
I feel. My God, this time change is really messing with me here. So we're gonna go to the benefits of solitude. Why being alone, even for a social animal, can be beneficial. Key points: even for a social animal, solitude can have its benefits. Solitary does not necessarily mean lonely. Having solid social relationships, but choosing to be solitary for a time can feed off loneliness. Holidays are usually a series of social events and the pressure of to engage in them and to be social with the mandate to be happy. It seems to grow with each new Christmas movie debut and re-airing of It's a Wonderful Life. But as the holiday season winds down, it may be time to reconsider the push to be with other people, to be social and engaged. Do we really need to? We are without doubt social animals. There is overwhelming evidence that human beings thrive physically and emotionally when we are part of a group. However, even the most social among us can appreciate solitude. In a survey by the PEW Research Center, 85% of American adults said it was important to have times when they could be completely alone and away from everyone else. 85%. More than half of men and women, young and old, rated solitude as very important to them. So, how do we reconcile the fact that humans are social animals and do better in groups with the apparent contraction contradiction that we want to be alone at the same time? Solitude is not the same as loneliness. There are some definitions to consider first. If you look up solitude, you'll probably find yourself with pages of hits discussing loneliness, as if solitude and loneliness were the same things. They are not. Solitude is being alone with other human beings around you. Loneliness is a negative and unpleasant emotional state we try very hard to avoid. The distinction between the two rests with whether or not we want to be alone. If we are alone because we want to be, then the experience of solitude is not unpleasant and negative. If we are alone but don't want to be, we really want to be with other people, to have contact with others, but for various reasons we can't. We experience loneliness. The voluntaries or degree of control a person has in a situation may be the most important factor that tips the balance between an experience of positive solitude and an experience of loneliness. Having solid social relationships in our lives, but choosing to be solitary for a time can also feed off loneliness. An individual's personality may also play an important role in whether solitude is seen as a positive or a negative event. We all differ in our sociability, defined in psychology as a personality trait that distinguishes us in terms of our need to be with others and seek out the company of others. People who score high on measures of sociability may see solitude as a distinctly negative event, whereas less sociable people may treat it as a necessity for a happy life. If you find yourself forced to be at odds with this personality trait, then you will interpret the experience of solitude differently. The benefits of solitude, assuming you want some time alone. What are the benefits of solitude? Solitude could lead to a sense of freedom of choice, the freedom to do what you want or do without the constraints that a social situation can impose, heightened creativity and spirituality, and even a greater sense of intimacy or connectiveness with others, despite the apparent contradiction. The experience of solitude as positive or negative in the quality of and kind of relationships with others. Doctors ask 313 older adults at age 65 and up about their time spent alone and other social relationships, the size of their social circle, the positive qualities of those relationships, and the amount of conflict in those relationships. The quality of the social relationships significantly significantly predicted whether participants described solitude as positive or negative. Being solitary predicted lower levels of negative emotional response among participants with more conflict in their social networks, but not among those with less conflictual, conflictual networks. So, if being home for the holidays is fraught with anxiety and makes you think about protecting your emotional well being, perhaps some solitude might be something to consider when the next holiday season rolls around. The benefits of solitude. The benefit of solitude. The benefit of solitude. Relationships are the key to misery. Humanistic and positive psychologists talk about the importance of relationships in fostering good mental health. Relationships that are unconditional, genuine, or empathic, em, em, empathic, empathic, help to bring the best out of us. In such relationships, we flourish. Not surprisingly, as psychologists, we tend to promote the idea that people need to develop their relationships as a way to find happiness in life. What is rarely pointed out, however, is the scarcity of such relationships. The fact is that on a day to day basis, most of our relationships are controlling, false, and lack understanding. Be they be they family relationships or those who have at work, the stark reality of what most of us have to contend with our relationships lead to we only too glad to escape from. It might be the relief at leaving home to get to work, or the relief of leaving work to get home, or sadly for many of us, the in between ground of the car when we have the solitude of being alone. The point is that we might deeply desire positive relationships in which we are accepted for who we are and able to be ourselves, but it is not what we always have. My worry, again, my worry as a psychologist, I'm not a psychologist, I'm reading a quote. My worry is that as a psychologist, we induce guilt and shame with our message that relationships are the path to happiness. Let us not also forget that relationships are the path to misery. It is when we are in relationships that are controlling, inauthentic, in which lack empathic understanding that we are at our worst. Sometimes being in our own on our own is the best and most healthy option we have at that moment in time. We should strive to be unconditionally accepting, genuine in our relationships with others, and we might hope that we get the same back. But if we don't get it back, then it's okay to walk away. Positive relationships are worth striving for, but surely solitude is better than relationships that make us feel ill. It is in solitude that we can begin to find ourselves and the new directions in life that will take us to better relationships. And that was the benefit of solitude. Hi, people in the house. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for listening to me. The glasses are working just fine, Tails, but having a hard time pronouncing some words, and I apologize.
Oh, that's okay, doctor. All doctors have problems saying some words here and there.
Yeah, yeah, Doctor Detroit. Yeah, hey. So thanks for showing up, everyone. Take a look at the chat. Take a little break. Yeah, there we go. That was easy. All right. 48 minutes into the show. Hope everyone's getting something out of this. Solitude, part two, here at the Lonely Satellite. Gonna move right along.
And you're
It's,
just on fire tonight, buddy. You're just cooking it up, eh?
yeah, we're digging into the meat and potatoes of solitude. Is solitude something you enjoy or a way of avoiding others? Is solitude something you enjoy or a way of avoiding others? Do you spend time alone for positive reasons? The, the four solitudes of psychology. Okay, these are, I believe, these are books by psychologists. Okay, I don't want to get into that. Okay, I don't want to get into that. Um, did I do overcoming the fear of solitude? I think I did. What is solitude? Let's see. Let's see. Here we go.
Hey, fucking dog, don't try and bite me. I'll knock you out.
The most beautiful embrace of solitude and single life. To the poets, Keats, neither marriage nor children were as sublime as solitude. The most beautiful embrace of solitude and single life. I like to collect stories from people who are single at heart, people who live their best, most authentic, and most meaningful lives by living single. Some single people like to say that being single is better than being in a bad relationship, but for the single at heart, that's way too grudging. For them, living single is better than being in a good romantic relationship.
No, a good relationship is hard to find.
I did not know that the most beautiful expressions of the single at heart sentiment has already been written nearly 200 years ago in 1818 by the poet John Keats, Keats. He was writing to his brother and sister in law when he said this: "Notwithstanding your happiness and your recommendation, I hope I shall never marry, though the most beautiful creature were waiting for me at the end of a journey or a walk, though the carpet were of silk, the curtains of the morning clouds, the chairs and sofa stuffed with cy- cygent, Cygnet, down, the food manna, Manna, the wine beyond claret, the window opening on winder, Winderdeer, Windander, Windermere, I should not feel, or rather my happiness would not be so fine, as my solitude is sublime. Then instead of what I have described, there is a sublimity to welcome me home. The roaring of the wind is my wife, and the stars through the window pane are my children.
Huh?
The mighty abstract idea I have of beauty in all things, the more divided and minute domestic happiness, and wife and sweet children I can contemplate as a part of that beauty. But I must have 1,000 of those beautiful particles to flip up my heart. I feel more than I feel more and more every day as my imagination strengthens that I do not live in this world alone, but in 1,000 worlds. No sooner am I alone than shapes of epic greatness are stationed around me and serve my spirit the office which is equivalent to a king's bodyguard. I melt into the air with the voluptuousness so delicate that I am content to be alone. I have written this that you might see I have my share of the highest pleasures, and that though I may choose to pass my days alone, I shall be no solitary. I am as happy as a man can be. There are so many things I love about this excerpt in addition to the gorgeous prose. First, he does not deny the happiness of his married relatives. He feels no need to put down other people's choices in order to embrace his own. Second, he doesn't hedge his bets. He doesn't say he likes his single life for now until someone amazing comes along. He knows he has chosen the life for him and would do so even if the most beautiful creature were waiting for him. Third, he does not just describe what he does not want. He also waxes poetic about what he finds so magnificent about the life he does want. Thank you, John Keats, Keats. And that little part I read, was done by John Keats in 1818. Thank you, John Keats, perhaps the world's first and most elegant chronicler, chronicler of the deep rewards of the single at heart life. So look up single at Heart Life by John Keats. It takes care of that one, the most beautiful embrace of solitude and single life. Let's see what we can do here. Let's take a little break and go in the chat.
Hey. Dog listens well. Little bastard.
Getting their go in the chat. Getting the right relationship is not always as easy as it seems like it would be. I'm young starting out, I would get married. Wouldn't get married. People are different now. Yeah, this is a new age that we're in. Definitely a new age.
Knew something. Where men and women are now scared to look and talk to each other because they don't know if someone's going to sue them or not for saying the wrong word.
I'm going to stop right there what I'm reading because I'm struggling. I'm struggling. I'm going to stop right there for a moment. I'm struggling with these words. So I'll just move on over to the chat and read the chat, see how everyone feels about what I've read so far. And you guys are doing a great job as usual. You're expressing yourself, and that's what this show is about. It's about expressing yourself, how you're dealing with loneliness. What do you think about loneliness? What do you think about solitude? You know, how are you guys handling it on a day-to-day basis? That's what this is all about. This show. It's group therapy. It's your digital. I call it your digital group conversation, coffee and conversation deal. And I think Sunday night at 8 o'clock is the perfect time to do this show because that's when all of you guys come together and relax. And
So all the monsters come out and have fun.
so Tails and Beat are getting us educated. Oh, Boo, I think you're the most educated, my dear. I speak for myself. I'm just reading notes. That's all I'm doing. I'm just reading notes.
Yeah, don't put me with that education. It's that stuff there. Hey,
I'm just reading notes with what other people have said, and the majority of these readings are based on or are from a psychologist. They're from a psychologist. That's where most of these notes come from. They come from psychologists.
Are you eating my table? Is that what you're doing, Doug? Eating my fucking table. Don't suck hole up to me. Yeah.
It can be. Adrian. Knowledge is power. Knowledge is power. Excuse me, Professor Eat. Oh, are you giving me a hint? Yeah, Adrian wants me to eat all day long. She always asks me every day, have you eaten yet? Have you eaten yet? Yeah, she's reminding me right now. She's calling me Professor Eat. So she wants me to go ahead and have steak and potato right now, I guess. Because of my diabetes, I got to keep eating throughout the day. Oh, don't worry, I will eat again, Adrian. I will eat again tonight.
Here, I'm gonna make him hungry. I'm gonna smoke a bowl.
I hope you guys are really getting something out of this. I mean, I've been taking notes from PhDs, doctors with PhDs and MDs and psychologists
No, don't let those titles fool you, man. Some of them are quacks.
and new age movers and well, I'm into 1 hour.
The dog won't stop eating my table. Uh-oh. Now
I
it's
gotta,
after my feet. You fucker, get away from me. Oh, why can't you be a little pup? A little pup. Huh?
I'm going to um, I'm going to have to get something to drink, and I'll be right back.
Hey, you can listen to my dog run back and forth.
Yeah, he's making me thirsty, running back and forth.
Oh, he just hit his head off the cabinet. Poor thing. Relax, Norton. Chewed a hole through my blanket, the bastard. Just for that, I should choke it out. Time to think about life? No, I did that enough this lifetime. I want a different life.
All right, and we're back, and we're still holding down 5 people in the house.
Yeah, there's still 5 in the house. Gotta be lucky about that.
On a
I
Sunday
don't get
night.
any.
Had to
Stop
get some.
chewing on my table, you fucking dumbass.
All right, had to get a pop, get something refreshing. A little over an hour in the show. Lonely Satellite, 8 p.m. Eastern, where we discuss loneliness, um, everything related to loneliness. We're doing a part 2 of solitude tonight, and the topic of solitude is on the table once again. Keats was very wise. Moving right along in the meat and potatoes of solitude.
I'll be right back.
Moving right along, solitude to feed the spirit. There are benefits to spending time alone. We are a people on the run in our ever growing culture of busy, 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 busy. We feel under constant pressure to complete tasks quickly, multitask, and make each moment of our waking days productive. But what impact is this go, go, go culture having on us? And how may we be squandering opportunities for solitude? Think about how to spend your time alone. We have moments over the course of our waking hours when we are by ourselves, but being alone isn't the same as experiencing solitude, especially in our digital culture. Our our solidarity time is not often actually spent by ourselves. We have social media or other forms of distractions at our fingertips, so that even alone time isn't entirely by ourselves anymore. Social scientists who have been studying the impact of social media on our psychology have been reflecting on its impetus to solitude for some time now, which identifies the undermining of solitude as one of the many unattended pitfalls of our increasingly technology reliant culture. Solitude as an essential feature of personality development, for it enables an individual to be comfortable in his or own skin, cultivating cultivate creativity, reflection, and better prepare themselves for when they do have opportunities to connect with others. Essentially, we need to better connect with ourselves to then enable us to extend such a connection to other people in the world and around. These processes, essential to basic human development, are oftentimes undermined when the time that we used to spend by ourselves in solitude are unserved by the seductive pull of our digital devices. Indeed, as identified in an article from Mindfold, when we lose the ability to be alone with ourselves, our overstimulated nervous systems suffer from no place to rest and recharge. One of the greatest pathways to beneficial solitude is through mindfulness practices such as meditation. Through cultivating a practice where we focus on the present moment, in addition, we become more in tune with our mind and body connection. We also become more aware of our surroundings. Under such conditions, we alone become less daunting and more fulfilling as solitude becomes a gateway for reflection and refuge. Through many spend time by ourselves. We may also develop a soundtrack to that time, the blaring of the television, the beeping of our phones, new alerts, or text messages that we attend to. In fact, for many people unaccustomed to solitude, being alone and still in a quiet environment can induce anxiety or dread. But it is through that stillness and quiet that we can tap into a deeper part of our own sense of self and explore our inner lives. Indeed, as you learn to be alone, you can learn to be brave and honest with how things are right now. If you can cultivate your ability to be okay with being alone, You may come to appreciate that you can create all the conditions you need to be content with yourselves and in life. So perhaps we can all benefit from a digital unplug the next time we find ourselves in an elevator by ourselves, or walking on the street, waiting in traffic, or home alone. How would you get to know yourself if you gave your own consciousness the time and attention you give to other people when you so when you socialize? Sometimes the simplest practice can be the most transformative in enhancing our sense of self. Introduce yourself to the next time you have an opportunity for solitude and see what comes from it. Solitude to feed the spirit. An hour and 12 minutes in the show. Another round of solitude here at Lonely Satellite. Understanding the teenage desire for solitude, the teenage desire. Bright teens can benefit from time spent with their thoughts in moderation. Key points: smart, sensitive, creative teenagers passionately crave their solitude. This deep seated need allow for thinking and creating and also produce dangers. Teens need to find a healthy balance between indwelling and relationships if they are to thrive during adolescence. How can a straightforward line like "I want to be alone" become iconic and world famous? What what mysterious something did Greta Garbo capture when she uttered that oh so ordinary line in the 1932 film Grand Hotel? I'm pretty sure that it became iconic and world famous because it spoke to the startling desire for solitude lurking in the heart of every person of a certain sort. The person who will go on to be a novelist, a monk, a research scientist, a sculptor, a game designer, a yogi, a professor of history. That line spoke volumes. That desire for solitude is made up of several parts. First, there is the obsessive need to inwardly dwell, but in the room that is one's mind. That is a need to dream up its story, to listen to music because music is brewing inside, to be reading, thinking, listening, to be living in one's own heaven and hell. This is a need perhaps greater than any other need. We may well want to recapitulate any any of us any of these needs. List and put in dwelling in its rightful place. Second, there is a wise awareness about being with people. If you do not see value in sitting among dull people and chatting about the abundance of rain or the lack of rain or anything about rain, if you experience that as not just a waste of time but a exit 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 I can't pronounce it, painful. then you have no reason on earth to be there. For many people, smart teens included, it can feel much more extend I can't pronounce it, rich and much more appropriate to be in one's mind than to be in idle company. Third, there's a world building going on in solitude, a learning energy, a creative energy, a building energy. As for instance, a teen draws her particular cast of characters, posts them on social media, gets followers and likes, builds an audience, and creates a complete, vibrant world. This world building can only be done in solitude, which makes solitude as valuable to a smart person as water and air. A teen's permanently closed door with its "keep out" sign is a cliche. Like many cliches, it does not reflect a it does reflects a truth that teens want to listen to their music, wander the internet, fantasize, talk to their friends, crawl under the covers, and, well, just be left alone. They want their solitude so they can indwell. They need it, and at the same time, it can be a seriously dangerous place. For parents, your smart teen needs her alone time. At the same time, it is easy for that isolation, social distancing, and fierce demand for solitude to go too far. Indwelling is valuable, wonderful, and necessary. It is also a place of nightmares, unhealthy obsessions, and darkness. Therefore, you will want to coach your smart teen out into the light. She may not want to come. She may moan and groan. She may flat out refuse, but be a little clever and a little adamant, ADAMANT, and see if you can tease your smart teen out into the world of people. If when you get her out, she is silent and distant, if she wants to sit on the sidelines and observe, if in short she wants to bring her solitude with her, as if she hadn't really left her mind room at all, be as engaging as you know how to be, which may
Just
be
watch
as
upstairs. She got into the garbage.
much a
I
stretch
cleaned up
for you
some of it,
for
but
you
just
as
sort
it
of
is
wide open
for
again.
her. You may be exactly like her, craving your own solitude. Make it happen anyway. Give both of you the chance to stretch for the directions of relationships. For teens, there is no formula for maintaining the right amount of solitude in relationships. What you can do, however, is put up a bright neon exit sign in your mind room, one that reminds you that you can get out and that you ought to get out once in a while. You can add some cheerful internal musical alerts, one that signals that it is time to get out. Think about whether to leave your mind room. You don't want to make your solitude pervasive and uninterruptible. These are for teens. Strict solitude, demanding to be alone at all costs, can lead to all sorts of negatives, among them painful cogitating and inability to emphasize and deep staleness. Of course, you want some solitude. It is where you think, create, and dream, but be careful. If you do not come up for air and out for life, you will have transformed your mind room into something resembling a prison cell. You do not want that to happen as the Creed song album, My Own Prison, by Creed, My Own Prison. Well, there you go. You can, what it's saying is you need to get out and get some fresh air and go to the park. And um, solitude is good, but it also can destroy you at the same time if you don't go out and get fresh air and see the world. So don't be a hermit. Is pretty much what it's saying. There you go on that.
I like being a hermit.
Understanding the teenage desire for solitude. Yeah, you can be quite comfortable being a hermit. I see I can see that, but you don't want to be you don't want to lock yourself in your mind in your own prison. You don't want to be in your own mind too long. You need to get out of that cage and get out and expand and see the world for what it is. And that's what
It's
I've been.
horrible. Run.
And that's yeah, really run back in the house. Um, and that's what I've been trying to do all summer long is getting out and getting to know my environment and going to parks and beaches this past summer.
Yeah, I appreciate you doing that. That was nice.
Oh, I think thanks a lot. I appreciate you recognizing that I yeah, I was learning exploring. I was on a journey. I was looking up going to parks and beaches and festivals and just getting to know my neighborhood. Pretty much getting to know my neighborhood.
Yeah.
And it felt good. Felt really good to get out there and walk and hear the birds chirping, and it's summertime, and um, I had quite an adventure this past year. This summer. Adrian has to go tinkle. Catching up to the chat. Now we're 24 minutes into the show. Thank you so much for showing up. Hope people are getting something out of this tonight.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to take off soon too. I got a little bit of dog messes to clean up before I go.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, you were hanging out with me for about 45 minutes before the show, so
Yeah,
I,
no, that's no problem.
yeah, you've been here a while. you you were backstage hanging out.
Yeah, seeing how you were doing for the week.
It's time to think about it. Okay, I'm just catching up to the chat. I may come up with a few more things tonight on solitude, but really, I think that's about it. It's not going to be a very long show tonight. I have to do paperwork tomorrow. I got to get up early and do some paperwork at the office. Um, who is Neat? Oh my God, he's a poet from 1818. Did I say Kesley? I forgot who I was talking about. He's a poet from 1818. A poet.
Looking hyper and shit, eh?
He was a psychologist. Yeah, 1800s, 1818. Yep, Carl Jung.
Oh.
Sting taught me about Carl Jung. Wow. Yeah. So Adrian, you've heard of Jung, who I was talking about, the psychologist. Wow. That's really cool, Adrian. Well, see, this show has a little music thing going on with Sting and Carl Jung, the man who I was talking about.
I wasn't a big Police fan. I liked some of their tunes, Roxanne, uh, but I wasn't a big fan of those. I guess Eddie Murphy got me into Roxanne when he was
Oh,
doing
Eddie.
Beverly Hill Cops there, singing Roxanne in jail.
Yeah, I remember that. Those were the good old days.
Yeah.
Nothing like the '80s movies out there that were out there.
No, it's just a different type of lifestyle, I guess. It's the lifestyle that I'm not into watching TV. It's a big guessing game now. Are those two gonna kiss or aren't they? Oh my god. Please don't. Oh, they did.
I could do the hunger for solitude during a lockdown. I could do that one. I really truly feel that we are still in an open prison. Even though the lockdowns don't exist anymore, I believe we're still in an open prison.
Well, can you drive around without seeing a cop? I know I can't. I see cops all over the place.
The downside of solitude.
Okay, buddy, I'm gonna get going.
Okay, my friend, take care. Have a good night. Thank you for.
Yeah, thank you for having me up here tonight. I
Yep.
appreciate it.
I'll see you soon.
Other window would help. There we go. Okay, we'll talk to you later.
Thanks for your support and love, man.
Yeah, thank you.
Living in your own world is dangerous and suffocating. That is correct. Tails was hanging with me backstage before the show. He was here like 45 minutes before the show even started. So thank you again, Tails, up here on the panel as always. Going to do the downside of solitude. The downside of solitude. The downside of solitude: losing connections with your social world. Key points: loneliness is the painful experience of being isolated from others, whereas solitude is the pleasant experience of being by yourself. In social situations, people often avoid those who are known to spend a lot of time alone. People often think loners won't be much fun to talk to, but they also think loners won't enjoy talking to them. Key points: we all need a little me time now and then, but people vary greatly in how much time they prefer to spend in solitude. Some try to limit their alone time as much as possible, whereas others desire far more than they can fit into their busy schedules. The difference between solitude and loneliness, although both solitude and loneliness involve being isolated from others, they're not the same thing. We feel lonely when we don't get the personal interactions we need, and it's quite painful. In contrast, solitude is experienced as pleasurable, a kind of alone time that we seek out rather than try to avoid. Solitude gives us a chance to think, to enjoy a good book, or to get some respite from the stresses of an overactive social life. A desire for solitude can also be the hallmark of a mature, intelligent person, since many intellectual pursuits tend to be solitary in nature. However, a general preference for solitude may come at a price, in that it puts us in danger of feeling lonely, but we've accomplished our solitary goals. Some people prefer solitude because they've had unpleasant social experiences in the past. In response, they throw themselves into their work or hobbies, which they find more enjoyable than spending time with people they find tetuous or mean spirited. People at the end of the day, there's still an unmet, UNMET, need for meaningful connections with others. Our pursuit of solitude can also impact those around us. When we put distance between ourselves and others often enough, those people may be reluctant to reconnect with us when we're ready to restart our social life. Researchers show that even school age children avoid interacting with classmates who spend a lot of time alone, and the same is true for adolescents and adults. The link between solitude and ostracism, ostracism, people who seek solitude often experience ostracism, atraxium, ostracism, from others in their social network. In a study they recently published in the journal Personality and Social Psychology Bulletin, they proposed two reasons for this. One reason could be that people may expect it not be much fun interacting with a person who likes spending a lot of time alone. The researchers referred to this as self interest concern, because these people shun the solitary person out of concern for their own well being. The other reason could be that people may assume that the solitude seeking person doesn't want to be bothered, and so they keep their distance. The researchers call this reason other regarding concern, in that these people are thinking about the welfare of the other person. In a series of 5 studies, Wren and Evans teased out the reasons why this ostracism occurs. In the first 2 studies, they found that people who have a high preference for solitude also report high levels of feeling ostracized, ostracism. This finding confirms the results of previous research. In the next 2 studies, the researchers asked participants to read about people who were often or rarely solitary. The results showed that people are more willing to ostracize those who prefer spending a lot of time alone. However, the degree of ostracism was still rather low, more along the lines of prefer not to spend time with them rather than avoid them at all cost. Leaving the loners alone. As the title of Renan Evans' article points out, people often prefer leaving the loners alone. Thus, their final study got at the question of why people ostracize those who seek solitude. Similar to the previous two studies, participants read about people with varying degrees of preferences for solitude. They then indicated how much they agreed with statements such as, I would probably not have a good time hanging out with this person, self interest concern, or this person would probably not have a good time at social events, other regarding concern. Respondents indicated that they kept both reasons in mind as they decided not to interact with the person known for seeking solitude. This is, they did take into consideration how the other person was likely to feel. However, a statistical analysis showed that self interest concerns, that is, fear of being bored, was a much stronger motivator than other regarding concern. In other words, it appears that the respondents acted on self interest but cloaked it as concern for the other person. People often realize selfish reasons by telling themselves they're acting for someone else's good, so we shouldn't be surprised when people act this way when it comes to deciding whether to approach or avoid a person who's known for spending lots of time alone. The results of this study bring us back to the basic truth that we need to strike a balance in life. We all have a need for social interaction and deep connections with at least a few other people in our lives. At the same time, periods of solitude are also important for maintaining our psychological health. Those who enjoy spending time alone need to take extra care not to neglect other people in their lives. Least they give the impression that they don't value their social network. And that was the downside of solitude. Go into chat. Lonely Satellite with your host Beat After Beat. Now we're 39 minutes in the show. Says Lonely Satellite. Good night, Boo. Much love. Take care. Thanks for your love and support, my dear. Adrian. All right. Caught up with the chat. Taking a little break. See if everything is working correctly. Oopsie. We're going to be moving on to Sandcastle Solitude Generates Gratitude, Inspires Memoirs. Sandcastle Solitude Generates Gratitude, Inspires Memoirs. Moving right along. Now I'm 42 minutes into the show. Thank y'all for stopping in tonight. Tails, Blue Henry, Adrian, Rowan. Sandcastle Solitude Generates Gratitude, Inspires Memoirs. Scheduling solitude is vital to our creativity and peace. Scheduling solitude is like creating a sandcastle moment, a time to imagine, reminisce, and find time for gratitude. When my children, not my children, were young and we were going through a particular rainy season, I brought in their wading pool, filled it with new beach sand, and created an indoor sandbox. With their plastic pails, shovels, and watering cans, they spent hours building sandcastles. They worked diligently, happily, and silently. In our present day society, we are bombarded by disturbing news. We need to disconnect from the media and digital devices. Making a time for solitude in our day creates for us the opportunity to let our minds wander aimlessly. Sometimes in quiet, a solution to a problem will come our way, or a piece of we are writing comes into focus, or a flash of memory reminds us of a time during childhood that should be savored and written about, a memory to treasure. Solitude is important for everyone, even the most extroverted people. It's the time you become familiar and comfortable with yourself, and developing the capacity for solitude is one of the most important tasks of childhood. Every child. She sees solitude as an essential to developing empathy for others. If you are comfortable with yourself, you can put yourself in others' places. 7 thoughts regarding scheduled solitude. Be clear that solitude is a positive and productive experience. As writers, as thinkers, as parents, as spouses, as friends, we owe it to ourselves and those we love to refresh our spirits. Here are ways that can enhance your solitude experience. Number one, save time. Choose a time each day that you know you can be undisturbed for that at least 5 minutes. Number two, practice mindfulness and or meditation are perfect activities. Number three, gratitude journal. If solitude feels unnatural, make a plan to be quietly busy. Buy or make yourself a gratitude journal. During your alone time, simply express gratitude for yourself, your family and or your friends, your home, your neighborhood. Number four, problem solve. Think of a problem that is perplexing you and generate as many solutions as you can imagine. Number five, play the I wish game. What are some of your secret wishes? Think about these during your moments of solitude. Number six, childhood memories. How did you spend alone time as a child? Did you have a favorite toy? Did you create imaginary friends? Did you talk to animals? Number seven, memoirs in general. During moments of silence, images may come to you that inspire a memoir. Some people are afraid of solitude. In one experiment reported, there were participants who opt to give themselves a mild electric shock rather than be deprived of external sensory. It was based on a study from Timothy D. Williams, a social psychologist at the University of Virginia. For Science, Wilson reported on a series of studies which noted that participants referred external activities to being alone in a room for 6 to 15 minutes with nothing to do but think. We often find ourselves in a group think situation. Brainstorming with others seems to have replaced quiet pondering, but as brainstorming may not be the ultimate in creativity, new ideas are more likely to emerge from people thinking on their own. Solitude is where we learn to trust our imagination. Solitude brings us serenity, the simple experience of absolute calm. What we do with such time is up to us. Thinking of solitude in terms of a sandcastle moment adds a positive no- con- connotation of what people find fearful, conjuring up moments when we built sandcastles as children brings a joyful image to the alone time we might ourselves fear. Sandcastle solitude generates gratitude, inspires memoirs. Now, 49 minutes into the show, solitude, the new way to celebrate. The introvert's alternative to the New Year's hangover. It's the first day of the new year. You wake up, head pounding, stomach churning, one toe into the new year, and regrets already. As repelling as this scenario sounds, it's programmed into our culture DNA along with the party hats and champagne. For introverts, the New Year's hangover isn't the only punishment for a night of partying. The night of partying has already served as punishment. Introverts who are highly sensitive to external stimulation, typically enjoy lower key activities, interactions with one or two people at a time, an ample dose of solitude. What would an introvert party look like? Followers, Facebook followers endorse the following supplies: a cozy setting or access to nature, a book or tablet, a loving pet, journal or sketchbook. These days, adult coloring books are great party favors, and quiet for reflection and planning. This is indulgence for the introvert, and contrary to images of the typical holiday gathering, this often solitary experience can be shared. One of the highest developmental achievements is to learn how to be alone in the presence of another. This experience is fostered by the sharing of quiet pleasures and companionship during independent activities. I think the biggest disconnect in our society is the belief that enjoying time with others necessarily involves talking and often drinking, which of course makes us talk more and louder. Thankfully, another model has come of age, one that involves quiet coffee houses, adult coloring gatherings, and silent reading parties. And though I may blaspheme the great American party, perhaps New Year's Eve could facilitate, rather than drown out, reflection. Janus, the Roman god for whom January is named, is an apt symbol for introversion. The god has two faces, one looking backward and one gazing ahead. The Janus inspired ability to quietly take inventory, curate collective reflections, and map out a course for the future provides a new model for celebrations. Reflections penned in a journal, conversation on values, quiet musings, musings, while sitting by the fire. Charles Dickens inspired celebrity reflection by introducing the ghost of Christmas, past, present, and future. After that kind of celebration, you'll more likely feel replenished in the morning. You might even throw open the window and shout a greeting to the new year. Solitude, the new way to celebrate. Now we're 55 minutes of the show. Lonely Satellite, 8 p.m. Eastern. I think we got into another great round of solitude topic this evening. Getting ready to shut down for this weekend's show. Big shout out to my new subscriber. Apparently, he or she enjoyed my Oregon videos and made a comment. And he or she subscribed to me because of my Oregon videos, how peaceful and calming those videos were. So, big shout out to my new sub out there. I'm glad. I'm glad you're getting something out of this, Adrian. Glad you're getting something out of it. I'm glad everyone's getting something out of this. Up next, we got the cry for solitude. The cry for solitude. Cry for solitude. Groupthink arises when the members of a group seek to mimicize conflict by failing to critically test, analyze, and evaluate the ideas that are put to them as a group. As a result, the decisions reached by the group are hasty and irrational, and more sound than if they had been taken by either member of the group alone. Even married couples can fall into groupthink. For example, when they decide to take their holidays in places that neither spouse wanted but thought that the other wanted. Groupthink particularly arises from the fear of being criticized, the fear of upsetting the group, and the hubristic sense of involuntary that comes from being in a group. The 20th century philosopher Ludwig Wittgenstein once remarked that it is a good thing that I did not let myself be influenced. In a similar vein, the 18th century historian Edward Gibbon wrote that solitude is the school of genius and the uniformity of a work denotes the hand of a single artist. In contrast, Wittgenstein and Gibbon, modern society constantly reinforces the notions that man is a social animal, that he needs the companionship and affection of other human beings from cradle to grave, and that the chief source of his happiness should come mostly, if not exclusively, from intimate relationships with other similarly human beings. In the realm of the 9 to 5 or 8 to 8, large corporations glorify and reinforce conformism. Decisions are taken by committees dominated by groupthink. People are evaluated according to their team playing skills, and any messy time out is seen as an opportunity for team building, group bonding, networking, or at best family time. Yes, solitude also has an important role to play in any human life, and the capacity and ability for solitude are a prerequisite requisite for individualization and self-realization. In his book in 1988, Solitude: A Return to the Self, the psychiatrist Anthony Storr, Storr, convincingly argues that the happiest lives are probably those in which neither interpersonal relationships nor personal interests are ideal, idealized as the only way to salvation. A desire and pursuit of the whole must comprehend both aspects of human nature. The cry for solitude. Going over some more of my notes for solitude. Part 2, the joy of solitude. Loneliness is a subjective state of mind. According to a recent study, many people prefer to give themselves a mild electric shock than to sit in a room alone with their own thoughts. Loneliness can be defined as a complex and unpleasant emotional response to isolation or lack of companionship. The pain of loneliness is such that, throughout history, solitary confinement has been used as a form of torture and punishment. More than just painful, loneliness also damaging. Lonely people eat and drink more, and exercise and sleep less. They are at higher risk of developing psychological problems such as depression, psychosis, and addiction, as well as physical problems such as infection, cancer, and cardiovascular disease. More than just painful, loneliness is also damaging. Lonely people eat and drink more. Can't believe I already read that. I believe I read that part. Loneliness has been described as social pain, just as physical pain has evolved. to signal injury and prevent further injury. So loneliness may have evolved to signal social isolation and stimulate us to seek out social bonds. Human beings are profoundly social animals and depend on their social group for for protection and also for identity, narrative, and meaning. Historically and still today, to be alone is to be in mortal danger of losing oneself. The infant is especially vulnerable and dependent, and loneliness brings back, or at least evokes, early fears of helplessness and abandonment. In later life, loneliness can be precipitated by breakup, divorce, death, or the sudden loss or undermining of any important long term relationship. To make matters worse, losing someone close often entails losing that person's entire social circle. Loneliness can also result from disruptive life events such as moving, schools, changing jobs, immigrating, getting married, or giving birth, from social problems such as racism and bullying, from psychological states such as shyness or depression, and from physical problems that restrict mobility or require special care. Loneliness is a particular problem of modern loneliness is a particular problem of modernity. One U.S. study found that between 1985 and 2004, the proportion of people reporting having no one to confide is almost tripled. 1985 respondents most frequently reported having three close confined confidants, CONVIDANTS. By 2004, the model response had fallen to not close confinements. Although it affects all segments of society, loneliness is most prevalent and protracted in the elderly population. According to a poll carried out in 2017 by the Joe Cox Commission of Loneliness, three-quarters of older people in the UK are lonely. Shockingly, two-fifths of respondents agreed with the statement. Sometimes an entire day goes by and I haven't spoken to anybody. And that sounds like me. Some of the factors behind these stark statistics include smaller household sizes, greater migration, rising self employment, higher media consumption, and longer life expectancy. Large built on productivity and consumption at the expense of connection contemplation can feel profoundly alienating. Aside from being intrinsically isolating, long commutes can undermine community cohesions and compromise time and opportunities for socializing. The internet has become the great comforter and seems to offer it all: news, knowledge, music, entertainment, shopping, relationships, and even sex. But over time, it foments envy and division, confuses our needs, and prioritizes, desensitizes us to violence and suffering, and by creating a false sense of connectedness, entrenches superficial relationships at the cost of living ones. Man has evolved over millennia into one of the most social and interconnected of all animals. Suddenly he finds himself apart and alone, not on a mountaintop in a desert or on a raft at sea, but in a city of millions, in reach but out of touch. For the first time in human history, he has no particular need and therefore no pretext to interact and form attachments with his fellow men and women. Against nature, there are a few people who actively choose to remove themselves from the rest of society, or at least not to actively seek out social interaction. Such loners, the very term is implying, as it does, abnormality and deviousness may reveal in their rich inner life, or simply dislike or distrust the company of others, which they feel comes from more cost than benefits. 2 hours, 12 minutes into the show. I think we're going to end the show tonight with that. And tons of notes, tons of research. I think I'm going to end the solitude part two. We got part one, solitude part one, um, which happened, which I did last week, last Sunday at 8 o'clock. We covered some more solitude part two, and I think we're going to begin a new chapter on loneliness next week, where we're going to go into maybe other issues of loneliness relating to depression, anxiety. All these things, at the end of the day, depression, anxiety, other mental issues, physical issues, all come down to loneliness. Um, so I think we're gonna end the show here. A little over 2 hours tonight. I think I've covered solitude pretty well for you guys. I'm going to start a gratitude journal. Yeah, yeah, I need to do one too. 2 hours, 15 minutes into the show. What book is that, Adrian? What book are you going to look up? Well, you must have found something. You must have found some kind of exciting book. 44 and cloudy here in the Motor City. Don't forget to check out New Release Tuesdays this Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, here at the Beat Studio. The uh, our only satellite is going to be a whole new topic next Sunday. We're going to probably go into depression or anxiety. Again, those type of subjects are related to loneliness. So be sure to check out our new subject, probably depression, next next Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern, here at Lonely Satellite. And don't forget New Release Tuesdays, 9 p.m. Eastern, for the new releases under the Pop Rock Electronics section. Hope to see everyone there Tuesday, 9 p.m. Eastern, for the new releases. Adrian, I don't think I can go on anymore tonight. Too much to read. I've only got one person in the chat, and that's you. Only got one person watching. I think I'm done for tonight. I gave it all I could tonight, Adrian. Plus, I have to go eat. Yeah, there's a lot more solitude notes that I have, but I don't have the energy to go on anymore tonight. One person in the house, and that is you, Adrian. Not a big crowd tonight. Almost 2.5 hour show. But I need to eat and probably take my blood sugar again. Yeah, anxiety, depression, and all leads to loneliness. All roads lead to all these roads lead to loneliness. All these things around loneliness. Loneliness is in the middle of the circle, and everything out of the circle. Depression, anxiety, all these issues all come down to the circle, to the middle, to loneliness. Take care, Adrian. Gave it all I could tonight. Not a very big crowd tonight, but thanks to all my mods out there for holding down the fort. Carpenter, Boo Henry, Tails, Margie TV, Rowan. Thanks for the love. Thanks for the support. All praises to the Most High. This has been a Beat After Beat presentation. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings, everyone. Good night. Thanks for watching Lonely Satellite. With your host, Beat After Beat. Have a pleasant week ahead.